let's see. Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. Yada, yada, yada. Streaming. Come on. Dang it. Current keyframe frequency. Keyframe frequency. What is keyframe frequency? Stream bitrate value of 25 kilobytes per second. 25 kilobytes per second. Stream bitrate value. Let's see. Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, we are experiencing technical issues. Let's see. Stream bitrate value. They recommend 2,500 kilobytes per second. Okay, I'm going to stop the stream for a second, restart it. I don't know what I changed. I don't know what I changed, but apparently I fixed it. Okay. Hello, we got Daniel Meyer. We got Riley King. We've got... that's it. Yeah. Okay. Yay. Oh. In other news, today, a few odds and ends. Oh, darn it. This dabbled already. Doggone it. Knew that wasn't going to work for long. We're going to walk around with this dang thing on my foot and hanging off like the mummy stripes. Problem with the foot wraps, gents. Pain in the butt, let me tell you. But anyway, let's see here if I can get this stupid thing open. Ah, darn it, the lock's breaking. Stupid. Figures. Okay. You know how I've been telling y'all, hoard gold and silver? Stuff like that. Hoard gold and silver, right? And you're going, Ralph, you handsome devil you. You rakishly roguish, intelligent and foresightful man. Now, how are we supposed to do that? We can't just go around plunking down money and buying up silver coin. That's time consuming and costly, and we need the money for other things. Right? Well, I say to you, wonderful and highly intelligent and very tasteful audience, there's a way that you can accumulate silver without spending a dime. I got myself about, I'd say about 2 ounces of silver today for nothing. Would you like to know how? I'm gonna wait till somebody answers before I start on this, because I'm enjoying this. Are you still there? You disturb me when you do that. You know, you sit there and everybody's talking, all of a sudden everybody goes silent. Okay, it's very easy. You see, Back in 1965, Nixon administration, back in about 1970 is when we went off the gold standard. It's also when they started minting our coins out of nickel, copper, and basically the coins in your pocket are pot metal. But what you do is you go down to the bank and you take you take $5, $10, $20, whatever, and say, "Can I have this in 50-cent pieces?" Now, you see, any coin, any 50-cent piece between 1965 and 1970 was minted out of 44% silver. And any coin minted 1965 was something around 94 to 98% silver. In other words, 50-cent piece dated before 1965 was basically solid silver. So basically, what you do is you ask for your, at a grocery store, ask for as much of your change as you can get in 50-cent pieces. Go to the bank, break a 5, break a 10, break a 20. Whatever they have, say, give me as many 50-cent pieces as you can. And any coin dated before 1970, any 50-cent piece dated before 1970, well, 1970 and 4, is silver, at least 44% silver. Now, I went in there and I pulled $60 out of the bank, out of my bank account. And I said, I went around, I took it out of the ATM and I went around and I said, "Could I have this in 50-cent pieces?" And they said, "All we've got is about $9.50. I said, "Okay, whatever you got." And I gave them the money. I got $9.50 in 50-cent pieces. So basically, I still got the money. I've just got it in 50-cent pieces. 4 of them, I found 3 coins that were minted in 1968. Those are 44% silver. And I found 1 that was minted in 1963. So basically, I wish I had a scale or something. I wish I really don't want to spend time, slugging through the internet trying to find out how much this is in actual silver. Right now, the price of silver is dropping, but the price of gold is dropping too, like I forecast. But there it is. I've probably got about $10 to $20 worth of silver out of these 4 coins. And that's only going to go up when the market corrects. Other coins, nickels, dimes, quarters, so on and forth. Just basically look for 1965. But 50-cent pieces are your easiest bet. There aren't very many in circulation, and they didn't mint very many. So you're probably going to get a higher percentage of your coins minted before 1965. So basically, I went out and it doesn't sound like much, but $10 worth of silver, hey, that's a start. And I intend to do this every time. I intend to go to every bank, and whenever I go out, I'll stop at the bank and say, "Can you break this in 50-cent pieces?" And if they can't do it in 50-cent, look in quarters. Any quarter dated before 1965. Silver. Dimes. I forget when they changed dimes. You'd have to look that up. But basically, anything before that point, that's real money. This is, I am holding out of all those coins, these are the only ones that are real money. Because of that bastard Nixon. Oh man, people hated Nixon before. How much do you think they're going to hate him when everybody figures out who was really responsible for the biggest economic collapse in human history? It's going to turn out we're going to go around saying Obama was the worst president ever. Then the economy is going to collapse, and then we're going to remember who took us off the gold standard, and that, you know, Obama's going to be a runner-up to a dead guy. Don't you know? But don't think otherwise, but here I have it right here. Nice. Well, actually, this 68. This one's 1968. Oh, yeah, 1968. One 1963. You can tell the difference. Of course, they'll blame Bush, but the people who actually know, the people with any clue whatsoever, will figure out, gee, our money's worth nothing. I wonder what happened to the gold standard. And Obama's going to drop into second place. He's going to have to work hard to keep up his trophy, you know. But it really is. I'm sitting here holding this coin, this 1963 coin. You can tell the difference between it and a 1968 one, and you can definitely tell the difference between them and a 1970 50-cent piece. The difference is like night and day. Because the 1970 pieces feel like chrome. They feel like it. The texture, the weight, the color. You can tell almost instantly. Just by looking. Anyway, this is what I'm going to do every time I go out and get change. This is what I'm going to do every time I go to the bank. Every time I leave the house, I'm going to stop at a bank or stop at a store and get as many 50-cent pieces as I can. And when I can't get 50-cent pieces, I'll get 25-cent pieces. And I will save up silver. It's a very easy way to convert your money into to convert your fiat currency into real money. Among other things I have to do, I've got a piggy bank full of coins I've got to sort through and see how many are dated 1968. But, yeah. My Superman piggy bank is actually a piggy with a Superman costume. Super piggy. He represents capitalist greed. Give me a second here. I'm trying to rewind my bandage around my foot. It's a silly thing to be so cheerful about, but really. It's always pleasing when something works. Nobody believes in the American way. Not even Americans anymore. That's the tragedy of it. We feel guilty for even saying it. Oh, Daniel. Oh, Dan. I am so sorry to hear that. Stupid. Drugs. They're a special kind of stupid. Man, getting them back out is going to be a little tricky. Should have thought this through. I don't think the hole in his belly, in my piggy's belly, is the size of a 50-cent piece. I can get him in. Oh no, there's one. I'm shaking money out on the counter. Do the money dance. Oh, shake the money tree. Oh. Dance, piggy, dance. Did you tell her just to torment her? You really ought. You just wait until she's sober. You know, whenever she's sober, just find her. Say, you do realize that you sold several dollars worth of coins for enough to buy a pack of cigarettes. Just do it. Just call her up in the middle of the night. You realize that coin from 1953 was worth about as much as your car. Remember that? Just think how much of that you could have snorted. Whoops. Opportunity missed. And then hang up. I'm sorry. I don't mean to make fun of your misfortune. But still, I'm mean enough to do something like that. I would. Get it from my dad, I suppose. My dad was one of those people. I forgive you for the things you've done in the past. And then he would tell me, I would screw up. He would tell me, I forgive you for the things that you've done wrong. Here, let me list off the actual monetary value of everything you broke. He would do that. Well, of course, Dad. Let me and my butler, Pennyworth, go out and open my Richie Rich bank and repay you, I was a kid. I was like 12, 13 years old. No money. They never gave me an allowance. Not allowed to get work. And then they're gonna hold that over. He's gonna do stuff over my head. That was kind of low, really. You know that? I was very magnanimous for giving you your debt when you were young and had no job and no money. What were you gonna do? Take me to people's court for it? I'm sorry, bitterness. Yes, this is me, bitter. Problem with this piggy bank is that you can get the money out, but it sometimes falls, it's hollow all the way through. And it keeps falling down in the legs. Let's see here. I don't know how old a penny would have to be really worth anything. Anyway. Ooh. Now, excuse me for just a minute. I will be right back. Nature calls, and when she calls, you better pick up the phone. Be right back. I have returned. Ugh. Alright. Picking through my silver. Went to 2 banks. Only got $9.50 and 50-cent pieces. They don't really carry them. That's the thing of it. And, you know, they only get them from the customers every once in a while. But let's see. Silver coins. Let's see. American silver coins. When they ended and what they're worth. Here we go. Bastards. They're the same whores and thieves that, you know, it's the same theft that the ancient Greeks committed. Ancient Greek bankers committed. Let's be honest here. It's a little embarrassing. It's a little embarrassing. Most of my life, I dismissed mostly it was the bankers as bad conspiracy theory stuff. But now I'm finding out stuff about what the banks have been up to, especially the international Rothschild banks, and I am like, holy crap. The conspiracy nuts were right. You know, not about everything, but you know, they weren't exactly sniffing around the wrong tree, you know what I'm saying? Comes down to this: you get a national bank started. The national bank starts printing. You know, the national bank becomes the currency distributor for the nation. The bank starts printing more money than it actually has in gold and silver. Then eventually they convince the government to go into debt, selling more, you know, printing more and more paper for what they don't have. But don't worry, we're going to pay it back with taxes from the future. That's what those bonds are. That's what government bonds are. They're IOUs to the future. That's where they get the imaginary money to, you know, the imaginary wealth to print the imaginary money. From your children, from your grandchildren, from you 50 years down the road. It all hinges on the belief that the economy is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, it's like that old joke back in you know, the old Charlie Brown comic. Snoopy goes out there. He tries to get an early dinner. He comes in, kicks the back door with his food bowl, and Charlie Brown goes, "Ha! I'm not going to fall for that. You want tomorrow's breakfast today, right? Yeah, and come tomorrow, you want your lunch early, and then you want your dinner early, and the next thing you know, you'll be getting fed 4 times a day instead of 3, and it'll never stop. So nice try." And he shuts the door in his face. That's the scheme. When they tell you you can, when deficit spending and national debt are encouraged, they're borrowing against tomorrow's taxpayer. And there is nothing there. In the end, you get to the future and the vault is empty. There's always one last dang penny in there you can't get out. But you have to get it out because it might be a dime. You gotta count it. Yep, it was a dime. And here we are. Old Hickory was a lot more insightful than people give him credit for today. Everybody talks about him as if he were, you know, this rough house redneck, and that was his only contribution to the White House, to the office of president. It was his efforts that shut down the attempt to make a federal bank the first time around. He probably saved this nation from going under a century sooner. Let's see, all coins dated, let's see, quarters. Any United States dime, quarter, half dollar, or dollar that is dated 1964 or earlier is made of 90% silver. Nine, 1964 is 90%. Anything from 1965 to 1970 contains 40% silver. Anything from 1971 on with the exceptions of one's 76 S mint mark are 40% silver. Those were the halves. Darn it. I know that I had a 1976 coin in there. Darn it, I'm going to have to go through them again. At $20 per ounce, 90% silver coins are worth about 14 times their face value, so $7. A 50-cent piece is worth $7. Nice. $1979, 1776, 1976. Here we go with the S mark. This might be, I don't know. I'll keep it out just in case. Bicentennials can surprise you, I suppose. Basically, any silver coin dated before 1965 or earlier. The 40% silver half dollars are worth $2.50 each, so I've got three 40%. 250, 250, 250 plus 7. So I got about $14 out of those 4 coins. Just under an ounce. So, yeah. That's good. 27 cents a piece for fender washers. You're right. You should have just drilled some quarters. Let's see, 1985. These millennial coins are worth. You know, that's the first sign when they try and make your money look like a collector's item. Isn't it interesting how they try and make our money, which is worthless on its face, they try and make it look like silver and gold. They cover it in a shiny nickel, make it look like silver. They add, you know, they spray the dollar coins with gold. It's just sleaze. We are victims of robbery. And it's just happening in such slow motion that we're used to it. 1972. Nope. Sleaze bags. World full of sleaze bags. They run the damn planet. With their father, the devil, right on their heels. Still sorting through these coins. I was taking a minute, taking a few minutes to sort through these. I figure I've been lucky today. I've found 4 silver coins, so I might as well check and make sure I'm not actually. Ooh, 19. Yes, 1965. 1965 quarter. Right there in my pocket, and I didn't even know it. I probably would have used it to buy a soda pop. Never even realized. Do you realize how many coins pass through your hands on a daily basis? And you don't even realize it. You're probably throwing away real money routinely. That's tragic. It really is. For now, these pot metal coins are special. That's going to change very suddenly. I can't see. I think I found a dime. Yeah, 1965 dime. That's another bit of silver. this isn't just a hobby thing. This is survival. Started getting nostalgia looking at some of these dates. I remember that year. These stupid state quarters. Notable quote by Rothschild, one of the heads of Rothschild banks back in the day. He said, this, the whole fiat currency game. He says, the best business I've ever done. So long as I control their money, I don't care. I care not who makes their laws. What is that? That should be a very enlightening moment for somebody, I've got issues about that. Yeah. That growing up, when I saw something coming, if I really, really, really saw something coming, bad moon on the rise, and it frustrated me continually that I would tell people, problem coming here, and they'd be like, yeah, whatever, and they'd ignore me. I've told you about these, I would see signs that the weather was about to change. We got a rainstorm coming in. And they go, whatever, we'll see. Hello. Hello, Torfy. I'm going to try and pronounce your last name. We don't have those letters in our alphabet. How the heck did you print that? Welcome aboard. Now, okay, now that I'm through with playing with my money, see there, just by checking my coins, I probably made about 20 bucks. Free. Behold the educational moment. I'd like to say something, I do apologize for those who were looking forward to the Girls of Summer CD. I've had people argue with me from both sides. I've argued with myself on it from both sides, so conflicted about it. I am torn between the advocations to modesty and also the advocations against legalism and excessive prudery. I think prudery is as much as a problem in its own way as anything else. But I'll say this much: it comes down to this. I decided the scriptures say that all, but not all things are expedient. And as it stood, this was not expedient. It was causing other Christians distress, for one thing. Had one fellow Christian remark, with less than happy tones, that he found himself aroused the most by one of the characters that was supposed to be married, and that bothered him. And another one who was disturbed that I would switch over to drawing pinup work to try and raise money. I've always done pinups. I've always done sexy girls, cute girls pics, but I think what was different about this is that flatly I was relying on tweaking people's sexual appetites to try and make money. While there may have not been anything on the face of it explicitly wrong, there was stuff that was questionable. And like I said, it comes down to this. I'll repeat it. The Bible says that all things are lawful, but not all things are expedient. In the age of grace, all things are lawful, but not all things are expedient. He was speaking of the issues that a particular church was having at the time, with various cultural hang-ups, like like people who bought meat in the shambles, which was meat that had been sacrificed, leftover, meat that had been cooked in sacrifices to pagan idols. Or various things like that. Just people were starting to quibble over these issues. To say all things are lawful was not giving a free license to do whatever we wanted, just to clarify. It was just saying we don't live under the law now, but that doesn't mean, that we can behave without, that we should show discretion in how we behave. All things are lawful, but not all things are expedient, and this was not expedient. So, I'm going to keep repeating that phrase. I just like the turn of phrase, so I'm just going to run it into the ground. But anyway. Alright. This is me. This is good. A lot of cultural detritus over the ages. I think that it's a good thing that we don't meet our forefathers in this day and age. If we were to meet the church forefathers today, both of us, they and we, would go around being utterly scandalized at how the other group behaved. I just see them, I could just see our current crop of Christians going, drinking grape juice. They're not drinking grape juice. You know. They'd probably stand up and start preaching sermons using language that would make the little old ladies in the front row just, boom. Of course, then they'd look at us. And they'd probably wonder why the fire and brimstone hadn't started raining down on the earth yet. It's the truth. Let's be fair. We mistake the trappings of our culture for the virtues of our faith. Or maybe they would just simply be wiser about those things than us. They would recognize, okay, different age, different culture. When in Rome, etc. Dad had a man in our church. His son. This man used to be a minister to Italy, a missionary, and he's come back to America, and he's just, he's retired from the mission field. Works in a hospital now as a janitor of all things. But he just came back and retired. And his son. My dad gets his knickers in a twist over that man's son constantly. Because this man's son, the boy in question, has piercings all over. And my dad is real ultra hyper traditionalist. Old Testament commandments against having piercings. Yeah, Dad, but they also had commandments in the Old Testament right next to it against shaving your beard. You go to church clean. You wouldn't go to church without being clean shaven. Can we talk? But no, there's no getting through to my dad on that issue. No. Anyway, he gets all bent out of shape. He sees this boy, And this minister, this ex-minister, he has pointed out, quite accurately, I might add, in my opinion, this is he's a different cult. We've been to a different culture. There are plenty of places all around the world where where a young man having earrings and piercings like that is perfectly mundane. And Dad gets his dander off. Well, you're not living there anymore. Why is it that all these people who would be willing to, perfectly, we have to be gracious when we're out in the foreign field. We have to accept their, the differences in their culture. That's the first lesson they give missionaries these days. You have to understand. We're not talking about ethics or morals or spiritual issues, but there are going to be things about their culture that are totally alien to you. You have to learn to accept them. But these people will not extend the same grace to their own culture. They won't extend it to their own young people. Anytime the culture, the culture of the society changes in any way, they get their knickers in a twist. And basically go on and on about how these, wicked, sinful, younger Sodom and Gomorrah, younger age children is. And it's over stupid things that aren't even spiritual matters. Got these people going on crusades against video games, or against, just about, you name it. You name it. You name it, they've got a crusade against it. I love how everybody went on a rampage about Harry Potter. It's a fairy tale. It's a fairy tale. It's not supposed to even it's about fairy tale witches and wizards. It has, it has no representation or even, it has about as much to do with real occultism and witchcraft as Ernie Keebler has to do with the Dark Lords of the Sidhe, But you saw people going out there, these ministers were going out and holding prayer protests out in front of movie theaters against a children's movie, or against a book, in a bookstore against a children's fairy story. They're right next to the, you hand them a book of Hans Christian Andersen or the Brothers Grimm, and whatever. This is nice. This is cultural, and hand them a Harry Potter. I think that most of them operate under the principle if it's popular with more than 3 children, the devil must be involved. Oh, that modern devil music. Look at these musicians. Look at these modern rock and roll musicians. They're all wicked and sleazy and filthy and nasty. That's because you chased off anybody else. If you go around saying only wicked, nasty, sleazy people go to store XYZ, guess who's going to be the only people who go there? But think about it, okay, to be fair, I may just be somebody who's trying to justify and rationalize his worldly life, his worldly lifestyle and his worldly hobbies and his fleshly interests. On the other hand, I may just be somebody who's tired of all the legalisms. I'm not enlightened enough to stand outside myself and judge with any clarity. Just kind of gets my goat. And then so long, it's perfectly acceptable so long as they're nostalgic with it. When I was a boy, my parents would, oh, that horrible rock and roll music, and then every weeknight, every Thursday, we'd sit down and we'd watch Sha Na Na. Sha Na Na was a show, came on right before the Muppet Show. It was a half hour of performers singing 1950s rock and roll music. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, Mom, Dad, this is rock and roll. And, oh, this is different, honey. Somewhere they came up with a conclusion that singing, dancing, and playing games were all sinful. Dancing especially, the vile raucousness and the undulations of their bodies. And, my father would not even let us dance square dances, and he got mad when one day I said, it'd be interesting to know how to do the sailor's hornpipe. This is not rational, okay? This is not sensible. This is disproportionate. And, we left the Pharisees behind us. They're right there beside us. Always waiting for an opportunity for us to declare our sanctimony. When the heck did dancing become legalism? And just because it was legalism by respected, that's what gets it. They say, well, we hold the Bible, but they reverence teachers from the previous generation or 5-10 generations ago, and their teachings first, even when it's obvious that these men were in error or were making questionable calls in their theology. What it is about 100 years ago, 200 years ago, we had a bunch of they were Puritans, and some of them somewhere, one of them somewhere, got a bug up their butt that dancing led to sexual hedonism, and the next thing people were forbidden. People were forbidden by their religious leaders to dance. you know how stupid people can be? Here's how stupid people can be. You have one church that insists on having a full choir. There's another church that will insist that having a full choir is blasphemous. There's churches that refuse to use musical instruments of any kind because they've declared that using musical instruments is a sin. Parsonal words, that's what they mean. That's what they've said. There was a church down in Texas, the pastor, fairly new, this was back in the 1800s, he came in there and he realized they had no music for their music service, well, he went out, he bought a pipe organ. Apparently it was a good sized church, could afford it. But the people there were scandalized, they were horrified. A pipe organ in church? They don't care what the psalmists say, that's my point. If they were to see the worship services that the founders engaged in, they would be having the fainting vapors at the utter ungodliness of it all. And they are under the mistaken impression that they could never make the same mistakes that the legalists and the Pharisees did. Oh, we're smarter than that. No, you're dumber than that. But anyway, these people, he bought the pipe organ, and people were, it's a musical instrument of the devil, the pipe organ. Don't ask me how they decided this, but apparently the only experience any of them, the only place any of them have ever heard of a musical instrument like that being played was in a brothel. You get one of these sleazy one-horse dump towns, the place with the most money and ironically the most high-cultured stuff would be the brothel, the bordello, and they would have a piano or an organ there for the entertainment of the guests. As that's how it got started, basically. But anyway, they didn't say a thing to him. They didn't say a thing to the pastor. They didn't come forward. They didn't talk to him. And he figured, they were a little uncertain about it, but they'd get used to it and they would learn to appreciate it. Well, he came back one Sunday and the organ was gone. It had been stolen, and it was not found until 5 years later, when the local river dried up, and there it was sticking out of the riverbed, where the church members had left it. Oh yeah. There's all sorts of crazy things that the medieval theologians came up with about, there were certain musical chords that were supposed to be inspired by the devil, among other things. Sometimes I think Jesus must stand up there tearing his hair out about how we waste our time and make other people miserable with our petty trivialities. The man sat down with his followers and drank wine on a regular basis, enough that he was accused of being a... And you got people that you got churches that if a church member drinks a glass of wine or even or a can of beer on occasion, just conniptions. You got people who will abandon the church if the pastor stops shaving. I kid you not. The pastor This is all traced back to the 60s, when the only people who let their hair or beards grow were the hippies. And, well, about the 70s, there was one pastor. He just wanted to conduct a little test. He started letting his beard grow. You know, first a little mustache and a little goatee, and he just let it spread out. And the longer that beard got, and the further it spread, the fewer people were attending the church. Oh, beg your pardon. Oh, that was just, whoa. Whew. Nazarene, not a Nazarite. I don't know what the relevance is to him being a Nazarite is. To the topic at hand. Anyway, he let this beard grow, and the longer the beard grew, you know, the bigger the beard grew until, you know, it was a full beard, the fewer people were attending the church. His sermons didn't change. Nothing else changed. That was it. And then he shaved it off, and within a week, everybody was back. That's how shallow, petty, and stupid people are. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Mm. The Jews were forbidden to cut the corners of the... Basically because back then, you cut the corners of your beard as a part of a sorcerical ritual of some kind. No. I'm not sure if he was a Nazarite. I'm not. He was a Nazarene. He was from Nazareth. And obviously easy to mix up with the Nazarites. Jesus the Nazarene. He was Nazarene. He wasn't a Nazarite. Oh, let's look at it. He was a Nazarene, that I know. But was he a Nazarite? I don't think he was a Nazarite, no. Let's see here. I misspelled it. Nazarite. Jesus was not a Nazarite. He was a Nazarene, like I thought. He was from Nazareth, but he never took a Nazarite vow. He was known as Jesus of Nazareth. Beg your pardon. Easy mistake to make, I guess. So many different Nazes. I don't know what's wrong with that stream. It keeps saying keyframe frequency is 3.1 seconds. I have no idea how to fix that. It seems to be working fine. Stupid piece of junk. No, he drank wine enough to be called a drunkard and a wine bibber. Falsely. Let's emphasize that. So no. The man turned water into wine. Wine that was good enough that the steward of the wedding said it was the best of the stuff there. I don't think he was a teetotaler. Let's leave it at that. Anyway. Nope. remember, he passed the cup. You know, they were drinking wine together. He drank. You know, no, let's. Hate to break it to you, he was not an abstainer. All right, now I got to open up the other program here. That's the thing, I got to do certain things in one program, certain things in another. Look, you got people that make mistakes like that. You got people out there who try to claim that Jesus was a vegetarian. Foolishness. Got people that try and claim that the wine they drank was some sort of grape juice, you know, just some non-alcoholic grape juice. No. That was the real deal. They thinned it down with water, but it was still alcoholic enough to get you drunk. It's basically how they purified their water, really. Pour a little alcohol into it to kill anything in it. Beg your pardon. Ugh, nasty. Oh, that's, well, bleh. I have sinus drainage. As I said before, we mistake the trappings of our culture for the doctrines of a faith. And people are made pointlessly unhappy because of it. So much strife, so much pointless quibbling over things that are utterly irrelevant. So many Christians going on deciding that they are too good to associate with other Christians who don't share their particular lifestyle. They listen to gospel rock. They're heathen. The usual excuse, there are people that they use the Bible like a form letter. You ever seen some of the stupider things that you'll see on politically correct campuses? They've gotten to the point where they have form letters about how somebody offended them. Student XY, student fill in the blank, offended me by blank, which was an offensive reference to my blank, gender, race, creed, sexual, blah 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 blah. There are people out there that use passages in the Bible to invent new kinds of sin. The children of the Savior who turned water into wine have proclaimed it damnable sin to drink this stuff. The people whose Bible said to come before his praises, sing, to dance with the harp and the timbrel, they are forbidden both dancing and musical instruments, based on whether or not they plug in or not. My dad will not let musicians perform at his church if they bring in a sound system. Seriously. Had one bunch of gospel singers come in to set up their speakers. He said, no, no, no. You either put that up or you leave. I'm sure you've truly enhanced the blessings of God upon the laity there, Father. Congratulations, you've saved them from Thomas Edison. Am I bitter? Yes, probably. Being raised by him, I didn't know any different. I'd never seen anybody handle things differently or think any differently. And arguing with arguing with him or questioning him was a quick way to get in a hell of a lot of trouble as a kid. Let me put it that way. Couldn't tell him anything when he was getting something wrong. Don't you disrespect me, I'm your father. Dad, the plug goes in the other way. You're putting it upside down. Don't you disrespect me. It would get to that point, yeah. Sometimes I think that man would rather pass a kidney stone shaped like a chair than admit that he had gotten something wrong. Especially something wrong about Scripture or the Bible. one of the things he did always tell people, don't take my word for it. Don't take my word for it just because I said it up here as a pastor. Research it yourself. Look it up yourself. Look at the Bible yourself. Of course, God help you if you ever confronted him. But at least if you were one of his kids. But dang. Anyway, I've gotten off track. What I was saying is, I've grown, I've reached a point where I am just incredibly short-tempered about the fact of people. When I speak up on something, it's because I'm dead certain of it, and nothing makes me incredibly angry quite like having people ignore me as if I hadn't said a thing. And it keeps happening to me. It's happened to me over and over and over throughout my life. And to be fair, I've screwed up a lot in my life. I've made a lot of terrible mistakes, stupid things. But can we accept that even a blind pig can occasionally find an acorn? I would be out there, it would be outside. I'd see a storm coming on the horizon. I'd say, here comes a storm. And, might as well have been talking to a brick wall. I'd point at something, I'd say, that's going to fail. And, what do I know? Only what I've been taught by y'all, In case you haven't figured, I've got issues a mile wide and 2 miles deep. I may have to adjust the coloration. I don't know if these colors are going to come through well on the print. That's the thing. What looks good on a screen doesn't look exactly good on paper all the time, and that makes for problems. What would the color for a rookie outfit be? Invert colors, I think. pale blue with white gloves and pads. Spent a lot of my life having my dreams, my desires and wishes being ignored and being forced into a choice I didn't want. And no matter how many times it went badly, nobody would believe that I knew myself better than they did. And that, I knew what I was and was not capable of. And that I knew what would and would not work. I'm 44 years old, and anytime my parents come up with a plan for me, I have to fight tooth and nail. I have to argue with them constantly. No, I'm not going to do it. No, we're not going to. No, we're not going to do that again. No. And it's brick wall time. I'll tell them I'm not up to that. When when I was living with them and I was dependent on them, I had no choice but to shut up and go with whatever plan they had. You argue with them. It's after all we've done for you. Didn't want to go into business with my father. Ended up doing it. I didn't know the first thing about it. He was a disaster. Didn't want to move back in with them. They talked me into it. And again, it was a mess. I didn't, just again and again and again, I remember one time I was visiting them for Christmas, around the holiday season, and they said, my dad comes in, he knows, I'm always short of money. I was always short of money back then too, even worse. And this was years after the disaster we called R&R Photography. Me and him together. Me, the idiot, and the idiot's son who didn't know how to do jack squat, and didn't know photography, didn't know business, didn't know how to be responsible for a business, and who kept blundering over just doing own stupid things. Don't even ask. It's humiliating to think about. Embarrassing myself with our customer. You just messed up. But I couldn't tell him that he wouldn't listen, and he kept pushing. I want to help you, and he wouldn't take no for an answer. We ended up in business together, and it was a disaster. Then the last me about it was him screaming at me about how I hadn't contributed anything. And here I am. I'm coming back to visit them. He said, that one store down the road, they're willing to set up a photo shoot, and you could make a little extra money. And I said, no. Well, son, you need to listen to me here. You need money. No, Dad. I just over and over again. No. I ended up doing it. And you know what happened? We lost money. Literally lost money. Just barely. I don't think we even made enough money back to do the print run of the photos. And he ended up just giving me money out of his pocket to help me out. I don't know how to run my life, and then I've always been. I never learned when I was a teenager. I never learned how to run my own life, and so every time I got backed into a corner, and my parents came along, I would throw myself on their mercy, and whatever they came up with. Once I'd agreed to accept their help, there was nothing I could say no to. And it's disaster after disaster. And tell him, I told you this was a bad idea. I didn't want to do this. And said, this is your fault. It didn't work. And he said, that's kind of my point. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to handle this, and this was going to be a disaster, and you wouldn't take no for an answer. If I tried to have that, it would be as pointless as talking to a brick wall, because all they'd hear is how ungrateful I am. What I am is ashamed. Frustrated that I'm never allowed to set the course for my own life. Ashamed that no matter what happens, I can't seem to keep my hand on the rudder, Ashamed of all the help I've had to beg from them. Ashamed of all the help I've had to ask, period. It's so ingrained. You have any idea how ingrained it is? I wish I could describe it. I can't go to a hospital without feeling guilty that the doctor is taking time to treat me. Seriously, I'm lying there with my gallbladder tearing me in half. And when the painkillers finally kick in, the first thing I start feeling is guilt for taking up their time with my sorry Medicaid carrying ass. I found out I qualify for food stamps, and I get on food stamps, and I feel guilty the instant I make more than just barely, you know, the instant I make more money than just barely, I immediately feel guilty for being on food stamps, even though the government is sucking, you know, twice that amount of money out of me on a monthly basis. I wouldn't need the food stamps if it weren't for the government if it weren't for the government that provides the program. Well, they reduced me to $6 a month. I updated my information with them on my finances, and I just got a notice in the mail that I've been dropped to $6 a month. $6. What's the point after after you've dropped below a certain point? I'm still carrying that. They're keeping me on the program, but they're only giving me $6 a month. And they want my returns for 2014 so they can assess how much financial aid I qualify for now. You know, they want to shave off that last $6, I guess. That's a good quote, Cartoon Glutton. Well, I can't shoot the sunshine out of my ass necessary to earn anybody's respect. Pardon my French. I got in a bad habit with bad language like that. I don't know of anything I could do that would win anybody's respect. Y'all take care of yourselves, Highland, Torfy. I'm just going to do what I've thought about my taxes. I'm just going to do what I've had to do for the past 2 or 3 years. Fill out my taxes, send them in with a request for a payment schedule. Seems like anything and everything that I touch just turns to cowpats. You know, I'm probably not doing, and you know, realizing that I'm sitting here saying all these things, I am probably doing absolutely nothing to win confidence in me from the people who invested in the Kickstarter campaign. You do realize that. Dang it, I knew there was something I forgot to do while I was at the bank today. 'Cause, 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 Hello, Cartoon Addict. Welcome aboard. There seems to be only two ways for people to respect you enough to listen to you. They'll respect you if you're this glorious, if you're a living stereotype of all they admire. And they'll respect you if you're a threat. Well, Jorgus, thank you for saying that. Got 5 people listening to me right now. I hope I say something worth remembering. Hope that I say what's true and what's right and what's just and what's holy. That whatever I say somehow furthers the gospel of Christ, the salvation message. Increases the faith, increases the peace. Okay, now this page here we're working on here, this is where they start discussing what planet is this lunatic looking for. And as I've noted before, now, the story, as you know, is about a mad scientist who wants to conduct a incredibly dangerous experiment to try and prove evolution happened. The problem is, okay, first of all, they have to, and these people are trying to stop him because there's a good chance that the device he uses could, like, rip the galaxy a new butthole. So, anyway, they're trying to figure out what planet he would be conducting this experiment at. And the first thing is that there's something of a paradox, is that evolutionists cannot seem to agree on what that primordial, they need to figure out what planet he would be conducting this on. And that means they need to know what kind of planet, what does he think the primordial world was like where life originated. You talk to evolutionists in real life, this is a problem for them. It's an actual paradox. Now, they used to argue whether it was whether it had no atmosphere, oxygen. An oxygen-containing atmosphere is what they originally thought, because that went along with pretty much the evidence. There wasn't any oxygen atmosphere back then. But anyway, the problem with an oxygen atmosphere, represented by the blue ball here, which is going to be a blue planetoid in a minute, is that oxygen destroys organic molecules. It breaks them or just wrecks them. So it would be pretty much impossible for even an ocean full of molecules to assemble together into a life form. However, without the oxygen in the atmosphere, you have ultraviolet radiation, cosmic radiation, gamma radiation, that would be pounding down on the Earth because there would be no ozone layer. And those would destroy any organic molecules just as thoroughly. The evolutionists have tinkered around and they now insist that the early primordial atmosphere of Earth would have been methane-based, a methane-based atmosphere. Now, among the problems with the methane-based atmosphere is that there is no evidence that there was a methane atmosphere on the Earth at any time ever. In fact, there is evidence against it. Among other things, in the lowest levels of the oldest rock, by their standards, their measurements, the oldest layers of rock, there are limestone deposits. Limestone does not form in a methane atmosphere. In short, there's no evidence that the Earth has ever had a methane atmosphere. And any of the, and the atmospheric model which could have existed would destroy any organic molecules trying to form. They argue about whether it would be, life would have had to form in an ocean, but water down organic molecules pretty fast too. And so they start talking about it being, some lumpy mud puddle someplace. And it goes on. This is, they have to figure out, what does he think the atmosphere is? But it provides the advantage of letting you, let's see here, photo effects, black and white, image effects, illumination, sunburn, geometric, plugins, clouds. Let's see here. Meister clouds. Not quite. Okay. Effects, cloud. And of course, everybody knows that a methane atmosphere would be fart green. You know it. You know it. Yes, it would. Let's see, who else here? Let's see, we've got Cartoon Addict, Jorgus of Jorgustown, Cartoon Glutton. That's the thing, it doesn't list names on the side. Can't tell. I don't know. Let's see. What's that? See if I can find a quick shortcut. Images. Oh well, that doesn't help. What do these guys do to get to the top of the image search? Sci-fi Arsenal. You know, I watched a little bit of the. I watched several episodes of the Arrow. I don't like the Green Arrow. He's in the comics. He's a leftist. By name and profession, and. He's constantly, basically, he's constantly spouting leftist rhetoric in the comic, and they're yet to have anybody take him to task. You know, nobody ever corrects him on the stupider things he says. Oh, check this out. Wall E. Generation 2. Really, I have to say, at some point they would have had to, you know, at some point they would have to say, okay, give this guy an upgrade. He's 500 years old, you know. Give him some new parts. I'm just trying to find a quick shortcut to drop these guns, man. Sure, tube guns. I don't know. I just don't know. You know, whenever I wanted to, it was a drag trying to learn anything on your own when you were growing up back in the 80s, because no internet. You couldn't just look stuff up. Going to the library was almost futile. No lie. Because we lived out in the boonies and the nearest libraries were miles away. It was a, 15, 20-minute drive just to the nearest town that had a library. And there were always these little podunk libraries, and there was almost nothing in them. And it was pathetic. You'd try and look up, oh, I'd like to get into like TV, and you'd find a book that was like 20 years old. Talking about vacuum tubes and crap. The library is great if you wanted to be 20 years behind the times. Oh, this is no good. I know some gun aficionados are going, where are the iron sights? And my answer to that is the same place you're getting all the wind. In case you're wondering, there's an old Abbott and Costello routine. And then, you know, they're on a boat, and Abbott is quizzing Costello on what he'd do, you know, as captain of the ship. What would you do if an east wind blew up? And he says, I'd throw out an anchor. And he looks, okay, then what would you do if a west wind blew up? And he says, I'd throw out another anchor. He said, what about a south wind? And he says, I'd throw out another anchor. And what if it was a north wind? You know, and he says, I'd throw out another anchor. He said, where are you getting all the anchors? And he looks at me, the same place you're getting all the wind. Anytime somebody asks me, you know, where's this part and this part and that thing and this little dealy bob is supposed to be on, and, you know, where's your, you know, where's this and that and the other, I say, the same place you're getting all the wind. Interesting factoid for you. There is an actual alloy called gunmetal. It's actually called, it's also known as red brass. Copper, zinc, I forget what else. Well, you can look it up. It's red brass or gunmetal. And it was used to make firearms and cannon long before they used iron or steel. And in some regards, it was superior. was, had different strengths and weaknesses, so on and so forth. But anyway, if you're reading The Rise of Darth Vulcan, that comes into play. The chapter where he blows T-Rex head off. The reason he has a gun is because he happened to remember the formula for gunmetal and gunpowder from when he went to a Ren fair. I like that gun display in the back. That turned out well. It's very simplistic, and yet that says Arsenal. Well, it does to me. It says Arsenal to me. Let's see here. Whew. Beg pardon again. Better out than in. Oh yeah, there's going to be holographic sights. Yeah. That rock. I'll go with that one. I'm taking answer number B. I'm taking answer B. Thank you.
Is that your final choice?
Yes, yes it is. For all you know, it's a button. For all you know, the trigger is a button. Or it's psychic powered, I don't know. You know, actually, you'd want that. You know, if you have advanced enough technology, you would want weapons that could be held in just about any kind of hands and could be triggered by anyone. You know, if you relied on a trigger, it would be kind of difficult to shape a trigger that would fit into any hand or claw or tentacle or whatever. But if you designed it to respond to signals, say certain muscle spasms, nerve ending, signals going through the nerve endings in the hand, or to, basically to biometric commands, you would be able to leave off things like the trigger guard, or you could just use an unobtrusive button. If you were really, security minded, you would set it up so that you have to press the trigger and issue the mental command, as it were, to make it fire. I want to sit and stew over the dialogue before I start entering it. Let my brain bit. Have I ever thought of doing fan fiction for anything else? From time to time. Really caught my interest though. Nothing, really set me on fire. If you know what I mean. I don't know why I started. I'm not really sure why My Little Pony was any different for me. I don't know. There's just something about the setting, the world, the characters that hit just the right note, just the right sweet spot that triggered that kind of inspiration in me. Well, that was more of a crossover. And that was a promotional effort, really. The Schlock Mercenary crossover. Wouldn't really call that a fanfic. I also did a crossover with the Fun Day Puppet Show. That caused certain ethical issues with me because the Fun Day Puppet Show over the years has gotten raunchier and raunchier, and even at the time I wrote it, they were getting, come on guys, that's, there's a mixed audience listening, in the room, come on. Never really done anything like, like Harry Potter or Star Wars or Star Trek or nothing really. I don't know. Nothing really just went ding. That's when I made me go. That's it. I've got to write an episode of this. I don't know why. Sometimes I get the feeling, this is just a passing thought, sometimes I get the feeling that if you were to sum up my life on my tombstone, it would be incomplete. I was given a life and tasks to fulfill, and I never finished them. Didn't you love it when you were a kid? The grade of incomplete was the worst. You literally hadn't done enough to even earn a failure. What would be the commission rate to ink or color one of my old Nippon? I'm not sure I understand what you're asking. What is it you're wanting? Are you wanting a new drawn version of one of the old strips? Or are you wanting to ink and color one yourself? Or what exactly are you asking here? As a side note, the reason I hate the fact that there are so many things in my life that I never finished. Never finished college. Shoot, I barely even started. Never, yeah, just so many things in my life. It just never finished. So many stories I'd start to write and I never finished them. So many projects I would start and they just sat there and idled until it was no longer relevant. And this is why one of the things the thing that gives me the most peace of mind and satisfaction is knowing that the stories, that I have a stack of stories in film fiction, as trivial as it is, that I completed them. That I actually completed them, even though I've got several stories that I still have only barely started on, and that are still being written. But I've got others, that signed, sealed, delivered, done, finished. Story, a task, a course. I started on homeschooling for my art courses, never finished them. I had to drop them because I couldn't afford the classes. I didn't even cancel. I just stopped. Failure. It's the worst kind of failure, is to not finish the race. Well, my commissions are $20. I am excessively pleased with the this bit of work. I don't know why. I don't know. There's just something satisfying about that seeing that arsenal on the wall behind him. You know, just a sort of sense of finished. I don't know. Weird. I don't know. Back over to the other program. Sort of concentrating here. I'm thinking. Trying to think anyway, but nothing's happening. Not sure. I'm not sure. Just really not. I'm sorry. It's just my brain. Everything. Brain just stopped for a minute. Really, I'm debating on whether to call it a night or not, because I don't know. It just feels like my gears are grinding. It's not. I feel like I'm squeezing a lemon and no juice is coming out. personal issues and whining and plexing about how life's so mean to me. Burn yourself out on yourself. I'll be the first to say it. My life is exactly as I deserved. Because I didn't take the helm. You know, I didn't willingly become the captain of my fate. You know, I let it. I let myself drift along and be blown whichever way the wind blew. And here I am now. Just like always. I'm not sure I would know a successful life if I was living it. You know what I mean? Life faithful with God. That's the definition of success. With a faithful life come the blessings of that we take for granted, as you know, family, security, and well, and you know, not to say that you don't have troubles, but you can live through them, and you have a faith that the morning will come. When you drifted away from God, you got no compass, no rudder, and you don't know whether you're going to make it to the next morning. I've been adrift for so long. Sometimes I've been adrift for so long. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if I was ever in safe harbor. This is a thing that causes me a crisis of faith so much. I look at my own life and I look at how I'm living it, and I go, how could somebody who is a born-again believer, somebody who has and truly accepted Jesus Christ as their Savior, how can a true Christian end up living like this? And I am at a loss for an answer. I'm just sitting here spinning my wheels right now, mentally, and okay, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night, because I'm not thinking very clearly, and not great, and I'm trying to piece the dialogue together in my head for that page. It's going wah 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 wah, and that's not working. So, we'll pick it up tomorrow at 6 p.m. Same time, same channel. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for keeping me company. Thank you for your prayers, those of you who have been praying for me. And thank you for your support. Bartles and James Jockstraps, we thank you for your support. Lifts and I'll see y'all tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Y'all take care of yourselves. Thank you again, and have a nice night.